Today, the road to Indy tangles in the wild, wild west.
You're always passing, and if you get past a couple of guys, bang, there's more traffic ahead of you. It's like a bullfight, really.
They're sharpshooters who rarely miss, because if they do, it's disaster.
Yellow, yellow, yellow in turn 2. 2 cars involved.
The racing is just bloody, bloody tight.
So circle the wagons and lock the barn door. The Pep Boys Indy Racing League has come to town, and they're next on Fox Sports Net. Sportsnet presents Pep Boys Indy Racing League Series. We're live in Phoenix, Arizona for the MCI WorldCom 200. Good afternoon, I'm Dave Calabro, and welcome. It's a spectacular day as we prepare to go racing. This is the first of 8 races you'll see this year as we follow the Pep Boys Indy Racing League Series. Now, if you've never seen this form of racing before, well, you're in for a big-time treat. Strap on the old seatbelt because we're going to go high-speed drama here in the wild, wild west. And my colleague is 25-year racing veteran Jack Arute. Jack, a gorgeous day to go racing.
It is, and I'm going to give our viewers 3 words to consider throughout the course of the race: opportunity, open wheel, and ovals. Consider opportunity. For a team like Kelly Racing, they've already got Scott Sharp on the way to victory lane. He's won before. Mark Dismore qualified on the outside pole for this race. He'd like to cash in on that and join Sharp as an IRL winner. Then, of course, open wheel. In open wheel racing, you can't lay back on what you accomplished in the year before. You've got to push the envelope. That's the case with A.J. Foyt's team. They tried radically new suspension pieces, and in qualifying, they didn't work out. They're going to have to come from the back of the pack. And then there's just plain ovals. Things happen quick in oval racing. At 182 miles an hour, it can be devastating. In 1996, that was the case for Buddy Lazier, who in this crash crushed his back like oh so many eggs falling to a concrete floor. Since then, Lazier has come back to win the Indy 500, and he would like today to erase all the memories of 1996. Speaking of 1996, there was a soft-spoken man from Holland who scored the pole position and then went on to win only the second Pep Boys Indy Racing League event ever held, right here at Phoenix International Raceway. His name is Arie Luyendyk, and no, he will not be in the starting field today because he is joining the team here on Fox Sports Net.
Thanks, Jack. Phoenix is a place that drivers love to race on. It's fast, everything happens very quick, but you have to have a good car. In qualifying, the fastest 1-mile oval in the country shows tremendous speeds, but in the race you need consistency. Guys like Sam Smith, Eddie Cheever, are guys that are starting in the back today, but they can go to the front, because when they work on their car and they get their car to work, you go to the front in a hurry, because you can also go to the back in a hurry if your car is not working. Things also happen fast when it comes to coming up on slower traffic or incidents. Last year, someone spun in front of me. I collected the car, and my car went upside down. And went for quite a wild ride here because I had a lot of time to talk to my spotter on the way down towards the dogleg. Coming out of turn 2, ending up all the way in the dogleg is a long way to go upside down.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're okay, Arie Luyendyk. It's an honor to have you here on Fox Sports Net. Jack,
Thank
we're
you.
Preparing to go racing. And right now, let's go down to the pit area. Calvin Fish will be covering the pits along with Vince Welsh. Let's start with Vince.
Scott Sharp is the winner here a year ago, and drivers always have a good feeling about tracks where they've won before. And Scott, you come here as the defending champion. Drivers all week have talked about how they like this track. Why is this a racetrack the drivers enjoy?
You know, Phoenix is a really exciting place to race in. It flows well. You get through 1 and 2, it leads you into 3 and 4, the lap's over. Some tracks you seem like you're fighting the different ends of the racetrack. This track, things happen quickly. It's just an exciting place to be in. Your car can go from being not so good to all of a sudden come in and be pretty quick. You're passing guys are passing back, a lot of action. It's just an exciting place to race on.
Scott Sharp hopes to make it 2 in a row today. Let's go to the pole sitter, Greg Ray. He's with Calvin Fish.
Throughout testing and practice, Team Menard kept the reins on Greg Ray, but yesterday in qualify they unleashed him, and boy did he respond. Greg, what are your final thoughts as you prepare for today's race?
Well, we tested here and we tested quick, and so we were able to kind of duplicate our time, and we know we have a quick car, but this is 200 miles in the desert, so it's going to be a shootout, and we don't have as much experience here in race conditions, but today is going to be a big education, and hopefully I can bring it home to victory lane.
Gearbox problems thwarted their challenge in Disney, but boy, are they going to bounce back strong here in Phoenix.
Thank you, Calvin Fish and Vince Welsh, covering the pits for us today here on Fox Sports Net. You can see the pre-race ceremonies continues. Here's Arie Luyendyk and Jack Arute with a look at the starting grid.
Row one. It's a row of first. Greg Ray gathers in his first pole position. Mark Dismore, his first front row position. If you think they're having fun now, wait till they drop the green flag.
Row 2, Scott Goodyear and Roberto Moreno. Roberto making his first IRL start, and he's proving bold guys go fast. Scott Goodyear is always fast.
Row 3, an interesting situation for Jeff Ward. A brand new car, a new team, Pagan Racing. For Scott Sharp, trying to defend his championship here at the Phoenix International Raceway.
Row 4, Donnie Beecher and Scott Harrington. Scott, a tremendous performance in qualifying, the fastest Infinity in the field, the best performance.
The MCI WorldCom 200, the field is set. $1 million in prize money on the line. And we're going to go racing shortly. Those famous commands, gentlemen, start your engines, coming up next on Fox Sports Net. Welcome back. A beautiful day in Phoenix, Arizona. Dave Calabro, Jack Arute, Arie Luyendyk, Calvin Fish, and Vince Welsh preparing now for the MCI WorldCom 200, the second race of the season, the Pep Boys Indy Racing League Series here on Fox Sports Net. Let's go downstairs for those famous words in racing. Here it is.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Show from Melrose Place with those famous commands. Should mention that Jacques Lazier will not be racing today, Jack.
Well, Lazier had an engine expire early this morning in the practice session. They don't have another one on hand, so he will not start this race.
All right, we love that sound. The engine's coming to life. Let's take a look at the weather conditions here today, and the track is going to be heating up in a hurry, I would imagine.
Track conditions are going to change for sure. This is the warmest day we've had since Friday, and the drivers and crews have to adjust during the race to get those cars to work in these kind of temperatures. Track temperatures going up. Very important to think about your car, your setup, while you're out there driving in traffic.
77 degrees, sunshine, a great day to go racing here in the Valley of the Sun. 28 cars in the starting field. We're going to go 200 miles, 200 laps, over $1 million in prize money on the line.
Now that fuel window will change depending on cautions.
All right, let's take you right around the racetrack, and this is a tricky racetrack.
Turn 1, going into turn 1, the cars reach speeds of up to 182 miles an hour. Turn 1 and 2 is the slowest part of the racetrack. The cars slow down to about 162 miles an hour here, but the drivers get out of the throttle, immediately pick up the throttle again, and then head towards the dogleg. The dogleg is a turn, but really the dogleg is not a turn for the drivers. It's just a straightaway for them. They're flat out all the way, going into turn 3, reaching speeds of up to 178, 182 going into turn 4, I'm sorry. Going into turn 3, right here is where the cars drop down to speeds of 175. Immediately the guys pick up the throttle here and head towards start finish line going into turn 1.
Yeah, Clark, you've done that before, Ari. Two-time champion here at Phoenix, Ari Leyendijk, in the booth all season long as we bring you Pep Boys Indy Racing League action. Let's take you on board now. The Pennzoil Panther machine carrying an onboard camera here on Fox Sports Net. This is Scott Goodyear's
And he'll
car.
start third, and watch for him because he's going to have a couple of cars in front of him. What will he do at the start?
All right, number 8 on board now. Scott Sharp, the gentleman who won it 1 year ago. Can he come back at the Delphi machine and win it twice for Kelly Racing?
3 warm-up laps for the drivers before they get to green. During these warm-up laps, what they're doing is scrubbing their tires, getting some heat in them, trying to actually spin the wheels a few times to get the pressures up. Very important. But then that first lap, cautions.
Kenny Brack, the power team from A.J. Foyt. I told you about the fact that they've had some suspension pieces. Well, they're going to have to make this a 2-stop race. And then Mark Dismore. As we said, Dismore would like to cash in today.
And this man, Raul Boisel, the Transworld machine, who had a great run in Orlando, only ran out of fuel a little bit late in the race. McCormick Motorsports ready to go racing today with Raul Boisel. 91, Buddy Lazier. Boy, this guy's been through some heartbreaks here.
Third fastest in the morning practice, but they had to change their engine, so he is flying blind, at least for the first couple of laps. They hope that they have put the car back together the right way.
And here's Sam Schmidt in my car, Sprint PCS, Treadway Racing entry. And Sam didn't have a good qualifying run, but Sam had a great warm-up this morning, and he's very confident he's going to go to the front.
And we're expecting Sam better take care of your car today, don't you think?
He better take care of it because I'm supposed to be testing it next Tuesday.
All right, let's go down to the pit area for Vince Welsh. He's got some late information. Vince?
Well, fuel management was the key to Scott Sharp's win here a year ago, and it figures to play a role again today. The fuel tanks hold 35 gallons of methanol. Teams get anywhere from 1.6 to 2 miles per gallon. If we have 20 to 25 laps of yellow, these teams should make it on a 2 pit stop run today. Calvin Fish?
Vince, last year in this race, tyres were running out before the fuel, but Goodyear and Firestone are confident with their tyre choices this year. However, track temps are higher than we've seen all weekend at 125 degrees. Quick note, Greg Race crew engineer Tom Knapp made a slight suspension change, standing up the right rear tyre, taking out some camber. Hopefully it'll be better in the longer runs.
All right, the field coming out of turn 3, the final laps of warm-up. The MCI WorldCom 200 coming up here on Fox Sports Net. Look who's up in the booth there. That's Jason Priestley from the Fox show Melrose Place 90210. I got it right, didn't I? Jason Priestley here as we prepare to go racing. And we'll keep an eye on the field as they come out of turn 4. The green flag comes out, and we're racing at Phoenix. And quickly down low, it's Mark Dismore grabbing the lead.
I think that Greg Ray expected a green flag. He hesitated a little bit, but Mark stood on it, went ahead, and took the lead.
Greg Ray in that yellow car let Mark Dismore in the red and black car get the jump on the drop of the green flag. But according to Greg Ray, that was by design, Ari. He said that he really wanted to back off just a little bit in the early going. He said, I'm going for the Pep Boys Indy Racing League championship this year and the $1 million. He said, I'm taking points all the time.
The red, white, and black car is your race leader. Mark Dismore through turn 4 now, stretching his lead. Greg Ray starting to close in that bright yellow car, number 2. Team Menard, Glidden, battling now for first and second as the field settles down. A safe start here at Phoenix. On board now, we watch him run. Mark Dismore.
Rhythm, so very important on a racetrack like this. Momentum, critical. Right now, the car that you're riding on board has got the momentum. But the yellow car directly behind him, well, he's got more than momentum going for him.
You just heard a slight blub blub. That was the car being on the rev limiter. It's a signal for Mark Dismore to go up a gear, because in the start of the race, on full tanks, the car is heavy. You go in a lower gear. Now he's going up to a higher gear, and he's ready to go race.
Scott Goodyear now riding in third place, about 2 seconds back. Dismore and Ray continue to lead the field. 196 laps to go. We'll continually update where everybody's at in the field at the bottom of your screen.
All of the drivers felt that because the temperatures were going to escalate today, that it would be a little bit of a crapshoot going into this race. They had colder temperatures to work with on Saturday. They had cold and wind on Friday. This is a whole new thing for them right now. But we've got 2 cars that at least looks like they have pulled out the right things to start with. Then, of course, the 28 of Dismore leading the 2 of Greg Ray.
Greg Ray played it very smart at the start of the race. He didn't really go for it, just kind of feel out his car, settle in, get a rhythm. You have to make sure that you get the tire pressures up. The tire pressures have to be up before you really can go fast. The tire pressures on the car, they work like a spring. If they're soft, if they're low, they act like a softer spring.
Greg Ray now closing the gap a little bit now. 194 laps, 6 laps into this race, and we're glad you've joined us here on Fox Sports Net. Kick back and relax and watch the MCI WorldCom 200 live from Phoenix.
Now, this yellow car, the Pennzoil Panther car, may not have been quick on the start, but he's beginning to close on that front combination, first and second. There you can see the separation beginning to close. And the green-white car there, number 33, hop off the drive by Roberto Moreno in the early going in the Team Trisselli car. Warner Brothers, a new sponsor on that car, and he is doing quite well.
This is his first IRL start, and really amazing for him to just come in with a team that is a virtually new team on the circuit to be performing this well.
So your top 5, Dismore, Greg Ray, Goodyear, Roberto Moreno, Scott Sharp. Last year's winner riding in 5th place now. Kelly Racing. There you see some great race action in the middle of the pack. Buddy Lazier in that purple car.
And right behind him in the red car, well, as we go back to the front, and the reason we're going back to the front is you notice that the separation between first and second keeps seesawing back and forth. What does that do? That's an advantage for Scott Goodyear. Goodyear can begin to close in the yellow car, and that's precisely what we're seeing now.
Now what's happening right now, Scott Goodyear caught up a little bit to these guys, but he doesn't want to get too close, because if he cannot pass them, he's going to ruin his front tires because he's getting bad air. Being behind the other car is not good for your front tires, so sometimes you want to drop back, and it looks like Greg Ray has done just that.
We're watching Goodyear now as he works his way through turn 3 into turn 4. Here comes the race leaders. Right there, Mark Dismore, the black and red car, battling now. And look at Greg Ray, looking low. He won't get him. He won't get him in turn 1. Dismore stretches the lead again.
And there's exactly what happens when you lose your momentum.
We've got a move for second place. Goodyear now climbing into second place. Greg Ray is fading here, Ari.
Greg Ray, what he did, he made him pass maybe a little too late. He should have come out of Mark Dismore's drive sooner. He didn't really have an opportunity to pass him. He tried to make an opportunity, but he didn't pull it off.
So what is going on with Greg Ray's car? Let's check in with Vince Welsh.
Well, Dave, Greg Ray's crew radioed him and said, try to take Dismore in turn 1. That's where you saw him attempt to pass, because they said Goodyear is gaining on you, so go ahead and try to pass Dismore for the lead. But as you saw, he tried to get under Dismore in 1, and he couldn't get it, as Ari said, maybe a little too late on that pass attempt.
Just a great race going on right at the front of the pack right here with Mark Dismore. But now Scott Goodyear is closing in on him as well. It looks like Scott Goodyear right now is in the driver's seat with the best car out on the track.
All 4 spots are up for grabs, but the spot that's precarious right now, Dave, is the lead spot.
Here he comes. Here he comes. Making a move on the inside as they head into 1. And Scott Goodyear becomes your race leader now. Dismore falls back to second. Greg Ray thinking about it now. Here's Dismore on board, riding in second place. And here's the race leader.
And because Scott Goodyear passed Mark Dismore, it also again slowed Dismore down a little bit, stopped his momentum a little bit, and look what happens right here. Greg Ray takes advantage of that situation.
And Greg Ray making a move now on the inside. It works this time around. Greg Ray now in second position. Has an update on Scott Goodyear.
Well, following this morning's warm-up, Scott Goodyear and Andy Brown, his engineering consultation, they are very happy with the tire wear progress with the right front Goodyear. Typically, that's a problem here in the very demanding turn 1 and 2, but they're very comfortable with the tire wear rate. They think they're going to have a tire that will last the entire stint. And Ari, as you mentioned, sometimes that is a concern around this Phoenix racetrack.
the back door now, looking at the challengers. Scott Goodyear getting into some lap traffic now. Passing it up, making some moves. Here comes the challenger. Greg Ray in the bright yellow car now. There you see your race leader.
All right, Scotty, you got Greg Ray coming.
That's very valuable information for Scott Goodyear. He now is told by his spotter, and we've got a great battle here between Scott Sharp and that red yellow car in the middle of that pack. He is working all over. It looked to be Dismore, but let's focus in on Lazier. Lazier in the purple car on the outside, really doing a tattoo on Sharp. But Sharp has the advantage, and that's Tice Carlson. Tice Carlson on the outside of Lazier.
Battling for 5th position right now. Scott Sharp trying to hang on to 5th. Tice Carlson, who has made quite a run, going to work there. There's Tice Carlson making a move down low. Carlson moves into the top 5 now.
Carlson had high expectations for today. He dropped over 30 pounds in the offseason to try and lighten himself up because you weigh these cars with dry weight without a driver. He's also said because that car is a car that has won here before. Back in 1997, the Blueprint team. He said, hey, I think this is the best shot I've had in a long time.
Donnie Beechler trying to make a move around Scott Sharp. You're watching exciting Pep Boys Indy Racing League action here on Fox Sports Net, the MCI WorldCom 200. Let's don't go to break. We've got an accident in turn 2. We'll be... Join us on Fox Sports Net for live coverage of the John R. Wooden Award, given to the most outstanding college basketball player of the year, hosted by Kevin Frazier, Chris Myers, and Marcus Johnson. Don't miss it this Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern to 4 o'clock Pacific here on Fox Sports Net. Now, while we went to commercial break, here's what happened with Roberto Guerrero.
Guerrero in Price Cobb's number 50, the blue and white car, right there, just literally spun around. And Ari, they say that the drivers, especially coming out of the corner, if you don't get the bite, the back end will come around on you.
And what Guerrero has done here is, as soon as he noticed he was going to spin, he just kept turning left to make sure the car doesn't go to the outside of the track and hit the wall. And he got very lucky here that he didn't get collected by anybody behind him.
We're back to green flag racing now. Scott Goodyear maintains the lead. There he goes in the Pennzoil machine. Greg Ray is second. Roberto Moreno riding in third. Tice Carlson has climbed up the 4th position in the 20 car. And Mark Dismore, who led the early part of this race, is now 5th.
Mark Dismore and Scott Sharp both are fading a little bit. They don't seem to be that strong as they were in the beginning. This has happened before with Kelly Racing, where they're very strong in qualifying, but then fade in the race. Now these two drivers have to think, what do I have to tell my crew? Because I need to make an adjustment in the next pit stop. If I don't make an adjustment, or not the correct one, I can go back even further.
Mark Dismore now in 5th position, and Vince Welch has an update.
Yeah, I just talked with team owner Tom Kelly of the Mark Dismore machine. He said they missed on the stagger, and Dismore was extremely loose in the corners. That's why he couldn't protect the lead. They had hoped to bring him in on that last set of stops, but everyone didn't come in. So right now, Mark Dismore is just living with a loose race car.
And you can hear it. You can hear it. Listen to Mark go on the throttle and off the throttle quite a bit. He's quite, how shall I say it? He's afraid to go for the throttle because the back end of the car just wants to get away from him. And he's getting passed by somebody else right here.
Let's watch the pass now as there he goes. That's it. Eddie Cheever making a move. He's climbing up through the pack. Calvin Fish has an update right now on the spin of Roberto Guerrero.
Well, even though he didn't touch anything, guys, he flat spotted the tires. They had to make a pit stop just as bad the field went back to green, so he lost valuable track position. Also, Davey Hamilton was in the pits. He's been suffering from electrical problems all weekend.
All right, thank you for that report. And Eddie Cheever now in 7th position. Cheever making his move.
Now, Art, you said early on that this place is so fast, so Roberto Guerrero is back out there, so we'll have to keep track of him. But give a call to this battle right here on the inside. Going around is Tice Carlson in the black and silver car. He is beginning to move up. He takes a bead on Scott Sharp in the red and yellow car. We'll have to watch because Carlson really is at the pit right now.
Battling for Blueprint MK Racing from Indianapolis, Tice Carlson. They call him T-Bone. He's out there trying to earn his meal today.
Scotty, how's the ride height right now?
The race leader trying to stretch his lead, Scott Goodyear. Out the back door, that's Greg Ray in the yellow car.
Not too bad. Not really touching too bad.
Battle continues up front. Scott Goodyear, your leader. Passing some lap traffic.
One of the interesting things about Pep Boys Indy Racing League competition is they're starting to lose the right rear.
Their setup is going away on them. I mean, they're just struggling. Look at Sharp right now. Sharp is off the first page here. You can't find him right now.
Still there.
Scott Sharp trying to maintain composure, trying to stay in the hunt for this race. Wants to become a two-time winner here. There's the race leader, that black and yellow Pennzoil machine, battling up into lap traffic right now.
Let's go back about that lap traffic. What I'm referring to is the fact that you can be running 182 miles an hour, but when you get into traffic like this, as we look back and we see John Paul Jr. and we look forward, you have to be very careful. You have to back out of the throttle, maybe feather it for a second. As you dip to the inside of that white car, Roberto Guerrero, if you're the leader, Scott Goodyear, you have to pick and choose your way. You can't go through like a hot knife through.
No, you have to anticipate a little bit. You can't just drive up to the guy flat out and then expect him to go out of the way and just drive around him. You have to anticipate and calculate your moves. At the same time, you're looking in your mirrors. What is my pursuer doing? I need to hold him on at the same time.
What a move by the man. Tice Carlson now climbing his way into a fight for second. He has taken over second position over Greg Ray. Wow, what a move.
And Tice Carlson is moving up, as you can see, but Greg Ray, as we saw him get to heavy traffic, immediately slowed down. His car is not working good in traffic for him. He has to make an adjustment during the first pit stop.
I'll tell you what, guys, Greg Ray's car may be fading, but not Tice Carlson. Carlson has got the momentum, still using the inside portion of the racetrack to his advantage as he blows by Stefan Gregoire, car number 7.
Tice Carlson with the $1 million smile. There he is going to work. And Scott Goodyear continues to lead. The lead about 1.5 seconds. He's got a yellow car against the wall in turn 4. Car in the wall in turn 4.
Car 8 will be your last car. They're coming down to the...
And it will be Robbie Unser has made contact with the wall. Heavy damage to the right side of the machine. Robbie Unser in the wall. You see the steering wheel coming out, and he's climbing out. It's good to see he's okay. Very frustrated with what happened in the accident.
Looks as if maybe Robbie had a hot seat because he was getting out awfully quick.
Looked like he was getting hot there. He wanted to get out pretty good, and he was... There he is. He's hot.
Dancing around, and watch out for that loose wheel rolling down the main straightaway.
What can happen when you have a crash like that? You can break a radiator hose, and then that spills into the seat.
That looks like what happened here. He crashed the right-hand side of the car where the radiator is, water spilling everywhere, back into the car and into the seat. And the water is obviously very hot.
So Scott Goodyear makes it through the traffic, through the accident. The leader, Pennzoil, number 4, Goodyear, out the front. He'll tuck up behind the pace car down the main straightaway here at Phoenix.
He pretended like he was going to go into the pits. That's a kind of a tactic. But he doesn't want to go in the pits yet because the windows to make this race a two-stop race, he has to go till about lap 47. Around that lap for him to make it a two-stop race, and that's what he wants to achieve.
We're only at lap 38.
There's Kenny Brack, car 14, the power team entry from A.J. Foyt. One of the concerns that Foyt had coming from the back is traffic. Let's see if they touched wheels. They did.
Heavy damage to the machine. Some flame, too.
As they enter turn 3, cars touch wheels and just put them up.
All right, 38 laps complete. Scott Goodyear is your race leader, but Tice Carlson, Greg Ray, Roberto Moreno all charging the MCI WorldCom 200. More coverage coming up next. MCI WorldCom, an accident.
Now we're riding on board the power team entry, Kenny Brack, and we're going to go back and take a look at what happened. Now let's just stop the cars right here. Just stop them right here. Let's identify who they are. Right there is Kenny Brack. Right there is Robbie Unser. Problem is, there's no room right there. They make contact, and that shoots Unser squarely into the wall at about 45 to 50 G's. So that was a pretty violent crash, but it didn't seem to affect the condition of the power team entry for Kenny Brack.
Well, let's hope not, because we don't know that for sure yet, but he's not going to just give up. And he couldn't spend a lot of time in the pits. The crew did look over his right front to see if there was any damage. But it appeared to me that Robbie Unser had lost the position. Robbie Unser was passed by Kenny, but decided to turn in a little too much, and they made contact.
Calvin, what is the condition on Kenny Breck's car?
Well, I just spoke to the team, Jack, and they're very confident that there's no damage, but until you get running again, as Ari knows, you really can't tell. But he's towed that front wheel out a little bit. Is A going to change the balance of the race car and also affect tire wear?
A lot of times the steering rod is it's thin. You know, it doesn't take much to bend that a little bit, and it will change your toe in, so the right front might be towed in somewhat, and it could create a bad handling car. We'll find out soon.
All right, 42 laps complete. Scott Goodyear is still the race leader. Vince Welsh has an update.
Yeah, very smooth stop for Goodyear when he came in. They took on tires and fuel. Crew chief Kevin Blanche was giving high fives to his crew members. They got him in and out very quickly. They believe they can win this race in the pits, particularly on a two-stop race. Eddie Cheever just up the line. He's moved up 14 spots to 4th. They made significant changes. Les Stagger and also took out a turn of the wing, but he's obviously running well in traffic up from the 18th starting position to number 4.
All right, watching Eddie Cheever. What a charge he has made from 18th up to 4th. Last year's Indy 500 champion climbing in the children's beverage car, the blue and red machine. Tice Carlson's dropped from 2nd to 15th because of a rough pit stop. And we're going to go back green racing here shortly. Goodyear in 1st. Greg Ray has successfully pitted. He's in 2nd place. Roberto Moreno in 3rd. More exciting racing on the Pep Boys Indy Racing League Series coming up from Phoenix. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Fox Sports Net. MCI WorldCom 200. We continue under yellow. The Oldsmobile pace car, though, about to pull back into the pit area, and we're going to go back there. Green flag racing, and here we go. Scott Goodyear, your race leader in the Pinzol machine, getting around live traffic. That's the yellow and blue car. The yellow and black car is your leader. And here we go on board. We got a crash in turn 1. A crash. 1, 2, 3 cars involved.
He's in turn 3.
Kenny Breck, the 14 car, the power team car is involved in the accident.
The blue and yellow car directly above him, that is Robbie Buell, so this is a tough crash here in turn 1.
Kenny Breck on board now as he signals to the crew there, pushing on the radio there. You see him on the steering wheel. Kenny Breck involved as we go to the restart here, Ari.
Oh, boy, miscalled that one. Car number 35. That is the 2nd crash for Steve Knapp. Knapp crashed in the first day of practice, and now he's taken the Thermotech car into the wall hard in turn 1.
That was the only crash the whole weekend and during practice, and unfortunately for Steve Knapp, this is his 2nd crash of the weekend.
Lap 47 on the restart, an accident coming into turn 1. Kenny Breck and Steve Knapp. Steve Knapp in the blue and yellow car climbing out, and Kenny Breck also climbing out of the power machine. And most importantly, glad both drivers will be okay. Kenny waves to the fans here today if he's signaling he is okay.
One of the problems on restarts is all of the drivers starting to come back up through the gearbox, building up their momentum. One of the problems that might have occurred is what we call the bump and grind, where they bump into each other. Kenny Breck reportedly saying that that's what precipitated that crash.
Somebody bumped into the back of Kenny Breck and caused that accident. There's a lot of debris on the front straightaway right now.
Now you got to wonder if it wasn't Raul Boisel, because they have just completed changing the nose on that car. Generally, when you hit another car, you will shear off the wings on that nose.
And it doesn't take much to. You don't have to touch the car in front of you that violently to send them off spinning.
Now, look at right here. Because of the pit stop, that wing has not been secured yet. It hasn't been exchanged. The mechanic was trying to make the change during the pit stop, and they ran out of time before the pace car came back out around.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're sending him out again. They're going to send him back in. They don't want to go down a lap. That's how they want to stay on that lead lap, in and out of the pits.
Lap 48, Goodyear the race leader. As we go under yellow for the accident in turn 1, again, both drivers involved are okay. And we can tell you that the main straightaway, turn 1, being cleaned up right now. So the field will slow.
Now, watch what happens here, fellas. This mechanic is going to go to work. This mechanic as well. What they're trying to do is take the little nuts, the little screws that are off the front of the wing, and then they will reattach this wing right here. They'll replace it. Now, how much does a wing like that cost? Well, it's about, what, $7,000, $8,000, $12,000?
That's about $15,000, but they want to replace not just the wings. They want to replace the wings, including the nose, going together.
Right.
Raul Boisel, a quick pit stop. I'd like to get that kind of service when I take my car in.
Well, I can tell you right now, he's not really happy with this service.
His crew working feverishly here, trying to get this thing in and out of the pits as we're under yellow. Goodyear, the race leader. Eddie Cheever has climbed all the way up to 4th. What a drive he's having today from 18th to 4th. And also Buddy Lazier now in 6th position with his climb. Let's talk to Calvin Fish with an update.
Well, the number 30 car, they got the old nose off, but not enough time to change to the new one without losing a lap. They sent Raul back out with no nose on the car, and he's coming into his pit stall right now. Team is going to go to work, but typically when you take a hard hit on the front, sometimes the fastest do not always line up. So this is not a sure thing that they'll be able to get this nose on the car. They're struggling a little bit as we speak. They're going to work. They've got three guys working on it right now. They cannot get it lined up with the existing holes. They're worried about the pace car coming around. They're going to send him again, guys.
Your leader is on pit road, the Pennzoil Panther car. What they're actually going to do is they're going to bring them through pit road because of so much debris. There's so much debris over in the corner and the concern about puncturing a tire.
As the cleanup continues, the field being led through the pit area, and Raul Boisel working. Let's go to the replay of the accident. This is the Fox Sports Net sounds of the race. Listen.
Big impact, but clearly Kenny Bragg was hit from behind and just sent spinning down the straightaway, bouncing off the straightaway wall and coming to a rest in turn 1 there and collecting Steve Knapp on his way.
In that segment, you could actually hear him being hit because you could hear the engine rev up and then everything started to go sideways.
The car was lifted.
The Thermotech machine, Steve Knapp, he is okay. Goodyear is your leader. We're under yellow at Phoenix. 51 laps completed of the MCI WorldCom 200. More after this. Pep Boys Indy Racing League activity on Fox Sports Net. It's the MCI WorldCom 200, and right now the race leader is Scott Goodyear. An accident involving Kenny Bragg and Steve Knapp.
Let's go back and listen to this accident. Now listen carefully. Did you hear that? Kenny Bragg missed a shift. Now, on board Raul Boisel's Transworld Diversified Services car, you'll see the result of missing a shift. This car in front is going to miss the shift.
That's why he hit him. When Kenny Bragg lost the shift, he lost 5-6 miles an hour just like that. And all of a sudden you've got an object in front of you slowing down dramatically. There's no way for Raul Boisel to avoid him. We cannot put the blame here on Raul. It was a misshift, but I have to say these cars have always been difficult to shift. It's a problem for the crews to get the gearbox working properly.
Calvin Fish.
Well, Raul has been in 2 or 3 times. They're still affecting a complete repair on the front nose. They had a problem with a spare nose. It didn't have the hole cut out. They have a laser beam that projects through for front ride height control, and that didn't have it cut out on the new nose. So they're bringing him in. He's been in 3 times now, and they're still trying to complete it. Meanwhile, Vince has another update further down pit lane.
Sam Schmidt has moved all the way up from his starting position at number 20 up to position 8. He's been traveling at the same speed as the leaders. His team is very happy with the way things are going. Right now, just running a nice, clean race and making his way towards the front, and I know that's something Arie Luyendijk's got to be proud of.
Well, it's great to see him up there running good, and he just needs to bide his time because it's still a long race.
That's right, Sam Schmidt. Sprint PCS, the sponsorship, riding in 8th position right now. 54 laps complete. Of course, the laps under yellow do count as the cleanup continues in turn 1.
In 1996, when the Pep Boys Indy Racing League first came to Phoenix International Raceway, Sam Schmidt was here racing, but not in an IRL car. He won the Formula Ford 2000 race, and he says that that win opened the door for him to make it in Pep Boys IRL competition.
And that's the goal and the dream of all the drivers in Formula Ford 2000 right now, is to perform well in that series and move up into the IRL.
Your leader, Scott Goodyear, has had a good run so far, but the question that I'm beginning to unravel in my mind is this extended caution open the window of opportunity to make this a 2-stop instead of a 3-stop race?
That's an interesting note that we will follow right here on Fox Sports Net. MCI WorldCom 200 continues. Arie Luyendijk, Calvin Fish, and Vince Welsh bringing you the MCI WorldCom 200 here on Fox Sports Net. Second race of the season here for the Pep Boys Indy Racing League Series. We're under yellow after an accident. 58 laps completed. We're going to run 200 today, and next time round we're going to go green. Vince Welsh is in the pit area. Vince?
I want to follow up on Calvin Fisher's comment before the break about the pit stop. The teams, I visited with a half dozen teams. They told me they're very close to making it on 2 stops, but they're just not quite there yet. So it's at this point, as Calvin reiterated, too much of a gamble to guess that you could go on 2 stops, but they're very close if they have another substantial yellow.
All right, thank you for the update, Vince Welsh. The Oldsmobile pace car will come off. Turn 4 into the pit area. The green flag flies from official starter Brian Howard, and the race leader Scott Goodyear picks it up as they come down through turn 1 where the accident was. You'll see the kick up of the smoke from the oil dry there in 1. And everyone's safely through the turn right now.
But the battle that we're watching is right here, and that is Eddie Cheever in the white stripe, blue and red number 51. Cheever is on the move, coming from that 4th spot.
Cheever was actually battling pretty hard to get around Marco Greco, who is a lap behind, but Marco Greco would like to get around everybody in front of him to get back on the lead lap. Greg
Ray challenging now, about 1.6 seconds back of Goodyear, the race leader. Eddie Cheever. 140 laps to go.
Cheever says that he has learned one thing since he added Owen Snyder as his crew chief, and that is to wait and let the race come to him. For Buddy Lazier, who we ride on board and we watch in the purple car, he's trying to make as big a move as he can. He knows now that his engine is strong, so now he can go racing.
These guys, exactly the guys we talked about, Buddy Lazier, Eddie Cheever, coming from the back, looking really strong, just like Sam Schmidt right now in 8th place. Buddy is challenging Mark Dismore. Eddie is closing in on 3rd place, Moreno.
Back with the race leaders, the yellow car in front, yellow and black. Scott Goodyear, the Pennzoil machine, out the back door. Greg Ray closing now within a half a second. Within a half a second as he continues to look for the lead on board with Scott Goodyear.
We got the first 4 cars within 2 seconds. Exciting race to watch right here, but still early. It's still only lap 63, not even halfway point. So these guys have to push it, but not push it too hard.
Story on Greg Ray from pit road. Here's Calvin.
In the first segment of the race, Greg was suffering from a slight loose condition with the car. On the pit stop, Tom Knapp said go to 75% stiff. They're slightly stiffer on the front bar, taking away front grip. But at the same time, they reduce the stagger, so they feel that he may come back to that 50% position on the bar. And Ari, as you know, that's a good position to be in. You have good adjustment either way.
All right, Tice Carlson on the move again, the 20 car. He climbed up to 2nd, dropped back to 15th. Tice Carlson now in 9th, and that's him working in traffic.
And he just passed Sam Schmidt. He's really been moving up since the restart. He was running so strong in the first segment of the race. His car seems to have not changed. That's so nice to know your car is the same.
Carlson is about to set up that white and yellow car, Scott Harrington. Going down into the corner now. Carlson takes a beat, builds up the momentum. When will he make the stab?
He's setting them up pretty good. When your car is working around here, it makes life so easy. Let's watch and see how he does it in turn 3. But oh, he's got a problem with the engine.
The engine cut loose. Fire on board, and Tice Carlson is in the wall. Carlson in the wall. The yellow comes out on lap 66.
What a shame. Tice Carlson running so good, spun on his own oil. Not a lot of damage, but he's out of the race.
A very likable driver here in the Indy Racing League. He's done some private testing here on a very limited budget. Tice Carlson in the wall. The caution comes out on lap 67. Heartbreak from this kid from Indianapolis who climbed all the way up to 2nd place and had a nice challenge going.
Boy, you know, and he works with the Children's Wish Fund at every IRL market, and he's got to be disappointed. A guy that really has a lot of desire. This Blueprint Imke team, they're looking for great things. Let's go back and take a look at the crash. It was telegraphed. As they come around, can we stop it right here? You see the smoke coming out of Tice Carlson's car.
What goes on here? I mean, stuff happens so quick. You know, you feel something let loose, but you just can't jam onto the brakes and come to a stop before you know it, the oil is underneath your tires and you're spinning. It's the first blown engine of the weekend, and it happened to Carl Tyson, who's having such a strong run.
That says a lot about what has taken place in engine development. The first blown tire. There's Tice Carlson out of the machine. He is okay. So Scott Goodyear, your race leader, and we understand that Calvin Fish is standing by.
Well, Greg Beck is the engineer on this car. And Greg, any indication he was having a problem out there on the track prior to the engine blowing?
No, we're not really sure. The spotter said they thought maybe a tire went down. I really don't know. Tice didn't say anything out of the car. He's okay. That's the main thing. We really had a great run going, and stalled it on the pit stop. Got back going, and you know, we had a great car today.
This driver of yours seems really focused this year. He's lost 25 pounds in weight. He's been out in the gym and working hard on this season.
Yes, he has. He's done an excellent job. This whole team has really come together. We've had some really good tests and just building confidence, and it showed today.
This team is sure to bounce back strong at Charlotte, guys.
The first blown engine of the weekend. And we've got more exciting race action coming up. Lap 68. Scott Goodyear is the race leader. The MCI WorldCom 200 continues after this. Getting these aerial pictures today. Goodyear blimps travel over 100,000 miles every year covering major sporting events. And they picked a gorgeous day to be with us here in Phoenix, Arizona, the Valley of the Sun. And we're having fun here watching some Pep Boys Indy Racing League action, the MCI WorldCom 200. And Scott Goodyear is your race leader right now. But there's some guys that are climbing right up through the field.
You got to give credit to this man, number 51, Eddie Cheever. Started all the way back in 18th, and Ari, you alluded to it at the open of the show that he was going to come to the front. He said the one thing he's learned since he added his crew chief, Owen Snyder, is how to let the racetrack come to him.
Sam Smith in the Sprint PCS car, same thing. Started 20th, right now in 8th. Buddy Lazier, same thing, 15th, now in 5th place. And these are the guys we spoke about on top of the show.
Buddy Lazier has set a new personal best today. Going into this race, guys, he had only run a total of 40 competitive race laps in that Delta Faucet machine. Today, he is approaching the opportunity to double it in just one race.
And he wants to double that number again because he wants to get to lap 200.
After 71 of 200 laps, run down the field for you. The sponsors, Warner Brothers involved with Roberto Moreno, Children's Beverage Group, Eddie Cheever, 5th place, Buddy Lazier, Delta Faucet, Coors Light, MCI WorldCom, the title sponsor.
Give a call to number 33, Roberto Moreno, because he has started up front, stayed up front, and has performed well for Joe Trisselli's brand new racing team. It is a team that came together with the idea in mind that Greg Gordon was going to be able to drive the car. Moreno came on as a coach, and he was able to convince Trisselli to give him a ride. They now have Warner Brothers Stores as a sponsor, and guess who the cartoon character is? Speedy Gonzalez.
Speedy Gonzalez.
And you have to give Roberto a lot of credit. You know, he's at every racetrack, at every race, trying to get a ride because why? He wants to drive with passion, and he deserves a ride.
Opportunity.
But you got to make it happen yourself, and he's everywhere. You know, he's not a guy waiting at home waiting for a phone call.
Out there pounding the pavement, trying to find a ride. After 71 laps, we're under yellow, the 5th yellow of the day. Race leader again, Scott Goodyear.
You can see here the oil dry is really, there's a lot of oil dry. That's very tricky on the restarts. So what the IRL will do sometimes make the field run through it. Here they're blowing it off and make the field run through it to clean it off like they did in the previous yellow.
And you see what that is right there? That is a jet engine off a Bell Ranger helicopter.
Vince Welch has a special guest down in the pit area.
Well, you were just talking about Roberto Moreno with team owner Joe Trisselli. Well, you've got to be thrilled with the way Roberto's driving. Is he giving you much feedback on the radio? He's not a very experienced oval guy, but he looks like a veteran today.
Actually, he told me he was reading a book, so I don't know what the heck to think, you know. But no, we're very pleased so far. Roberto's done a great job, as we expected, so very excited.
Obviously, it's a drama reading the thriller because it's been an exciting race out there on the oval right now. That's Joe Trisselli, team owner for Roberto Moreno.
And Vince, Joe Trisselli is an IndyCar driver of some renown himself. Not in Pep Boys Indy Racing League competition, but in a support series known as the American AIS series, where they take old-style Indy cars, and Trisselli was a driver. I wonder what the conversations between those two are when they come to a racetrack. because as a car owner, he can say, hey, wait a minute, when I drove a race car, it was like this, and Moreno probably says, yeah.
You know, when the car owner has been a driver, it's very good for a driver to work with somebody like that, because, you know, you're talking on the same level. And Joe, you know, he's a car owner. That is his next dream in IndyCar racing, and they're doing a great job on their first start.
Eliseo Salazar now in 23rd position in the Crystal machine. Let's go down to the pit area for an update from Calvin.
Well, Dave, the car had been running on 7 cylinders throughout the race. So the team took the opportunity under these caution flags to bring him in. Quite a lengthy pit stop, lost several laps even under yellow, while they replaced the injector management system there. They were only getting fuel to 7 cylinders, so they replaced the harness there with the injection system, and he's back on track right now, hopefully fixed and ready to go to the finish.
Salazar comes back after a horrendous crash in Dover, Delaware, that knocked him out of 7 Pep Boys Indy Racing League events last year. While on the mend, he said he considered retirement, but then the influx of over thousands of well-wishers and cards and emails convinced him that he should consider getting back in the cockpit. He said, I couldn't disappoint my fans.
John Paul Jr. is back in the pit area as well. There's the 10 car owned by Jonathan Bird, Cunningham Racing, Visionaire, the sponsor of that machine. They had to change an engine earlier today.
Also in the pits is John Hollinsworth right now. Guys are taking opportunity right here to make their pit stops under the yellow, and maybe that's it for them. 2 more stops for the rest of the way.
16 cars now on the lead lap as they come out of turn 4. 75 laps completed, and the green flag is back out at Phoenix. High-speed racing back underway. Scott Goodyear with the charge, and Eddie Cheever making a move.
He gets by Trisselli's car. Marino at the keyboard, but Greg Ray begins to accelerate and pull away. Cheever is on the move in that blue number 51 with the red side bonds.
Eddie Cheever now in 3rd place. Goodyear, the leader. Ray, 2nd.
Cheever is doing exactly what he did in Walt Disney World there. It's amazing to see how he does it all the time, but Greg Ray is charging right here on the inside for Scott Goodyear. It's going to be interesting. These 2 guys are going to battle. Eddie Cheever is going to close in, and we're going to have a 3-way battle for the lead.
Greg Ray is known as a charger. He does not like to sit back. He wants to come marching up there and steal the store. He wants to charge up front, and he's thinking about pushing that one more time.
Of the first 3 cars and of the first 4 cars, there's only one guy that has ever been a former winner of the Pep Boys Indy Racing League. The car in front that you ride aboard, Scott Goodyear, winless. Although he's competed in so many races, he's got 20 career starts, yet to go to victory lane in the Pennzoil Panther. The car right here behind him, the Greg Ray machine, the Team Menard Glidden Paint Century. Greg Ray, best finish ever, 2nd Texas International Speedway. And the car directly behind them, Eddie Cheever Jr. Not 1, not 2, but 3 Pep Boys IRL victories. The latest, the Trans World Diversified Services 200, just a couple of weeks ago in Walt Disney World.
Moreno still running in 4th right now. He obviously hasn't won a race. This is his first race. But Buddy Lazier is really challenging Moreno right now.
Buddy Lazier climbing up from 15th position. Let's go on board now with Buddy Lazier. On board with Buddy Lazier. Ari?
You can see Buddy is a little bit quicker through 3 and 4 than Roberto. But that doesn't mean you can get close. It doesn't mean you can pass. Getting close to somebody is one thing. Passing is another.
The sounds of racing here on Fox Sports Net. Calvin Fish.
Well, Raul Boesel's misfortune may be his savior in this race. He stayed on the lead lap even though he pitted 4 times, and he pitted right at the end there under caution and filled the tank up. I just looked at David Chandler, his engineer. He says we can make it on 1 stop, so providing Raul can stay on that lead lap in traffic, he should be in good shape.
Boesel made a nice, smooth move around the Bradley Motorsports car for Buzz Collins. That is precisely the scheme that Dennis McCormick and that Trans World team tried in Orlando, Florida. It came up short because he came up 7 laps short. What they found out is there was 5.5 gallons of fuel left on board. It was a problem with the fuel pickup.
McCormick Motorsports, a longtime supporter of the Pep Boys Indy Racing League, sponsored by Team Losi, Fast Rod, Alpha Laval, and Southwest. Team McCormick, and there's your race leader, Scott Goodyear, Panther Pennzoil Racing. Got a move, Buddy Lazier looking on the inside.
Working through that race traffic, and Lazier tried to take advantage of it, but there's a classic example of once you lose the momentum, you lose positioning.
Buddy Lazier charging 5th position.
a little bit over a second, but it's more than it was before. And it gives us an indication that he has a very good car again on the second segment. And that's the thing about the car. It seems to be consistent for him, and that's what's important for him, to have a consistent car.
Got a battle for second place. Greg Ray hanging on, fighting off Eddie Cheever. Cheever trying to get around the lap traffic of Buzz Hawkins.
Eddie Cheever right now has fallen into a rhythm that suits Eddie Cheever's driving style. What he wants to do is just keep these front two cars as close in view as possible. Eddie Cheever never shows everything he has until there's about 35 laps to go in a race.
In a race, what you need to do is stay on the lead lap, stay close to the leaders. You don't have to be the leader. You don't have to be the guy out there leading all the time. It's nice to get that extra point, but you don't have to. If you know your car is good, you can make that move later in the race.
Cheever down through turn 1, setting up for turn 2, using inside pretty nicely there. Let's go on board with Scott Show.
How fast do you go here at Phoenix International Raceway? Well, let the Delphi telemetry show you. 175, as Ari Lyondike alluded to in the track configuration description that he gave you at the start of the show. You drop off down to 142. Coming down the straightaway, you build your momentum, you build your revs, you build the speed. 173, then it drops off for a moment. And across the stripe, you've got the throttle right down to the floorboard. And you go up into about 176 to 175 miles an hour.
And remember, what we are watching right now is not a good race car.
Absolutely.
Scott Sharp is really struggling with a loose car. He's not getting the speed out of the car. He's following other cars right here. So what we see now is something we don't see in qualifying. These speeds are a lot higher in qualifying.
Let's go back to the lead now. There he is, the Pennzoil car, Scott Goodyear, chasing victory here today. 91 laps completed. And look who's right out the back door. It's Greg Ray.
These cars carry mirrors that are about 2 inches by 1 inch wide. If you can see another car in your mirror, your position is in jeopardy. Scott Goodyear right now sees nothing but Greg Ray in those 2 mirrors. As he works around Raul Boisel, Greg Ray is in a position to strike at any moment. That must concern the Pennzoil Panther driver.
Now let's see how quickly Greg Ray can get around Raul Boisel, who has just been put down the lap by Scott Goodyear. Greg Ray closed that 1.3 second gap.
There he is.
Goodyear, and now just got around Raul. But Scott Goodyear is facing heavy traffic in turn 1.
Whoa! Problem on the racetrack. John Paul Jr.'s car collected in the wall. In the wall. The Glidden machine. Greg Ray's run is over. He makes contact with the wall with John Paul Jr. So Greg Ray had a great run going and got messed up in turn 1.
What happened? Scott Goodyear passed John Paul Jr. John Paul went up the track into the dirt, slowed down dramatically. Greg Ray all of a sudden had something that slowed down right in front of him and hit him.
You could see it coming. You could see it coming as they moved up into turn 1. John Paul Jr. got up in there, and you can see he got a little too soft. And then he had problems.
Drivers call that the gray area. When you get up there, you lose grip. Losing grip, you actually work the car harder. It doesn't have as much downforce as you would like because you've upset the car. All of a sudden, that's precisely what happened with John Paul Jr. Greg Ray, on the other hand, he was just simply trying to decide where to go when he began to see it unfold and got collected.
When you're committed going into a corner, you just can't stand on the brakes and change your line. You are a victim then of that, what happens in front of you. What happened with John Paul, he ended up in the marbles. We call them the marbles. It's the rubber that flies off the tires off to the line of the track. And when you end up there, your car has no grip. It's like on ice. And that's what happened to John Paul. He got out of the throttle big time because he knew he was heading for the wall. And that's what made the closing rate for Greg Ray.
You can see that both drivers are okay. Greg Ray, a disappointing finish to what a great run. 95 laps complete. Good. Later in Phoenix, we'll be back with more. MCI WorldCom 200, the race leaders coming in for a pit stop at the top. Scott Goodyear. Eddie Cheever in the middle. And there he is, Roberto Moreno. Jack?
Scott Goodyear has had his crew working out with a personal trainer. They have shaved their pit stops by 2 seconds. They've lost a collective 100 pounds, reduced their body fat by 50%. They say it's going to give them an advantage. Seems so right now. Real quick service there.
Every night at 10 o'clock on Fox Sports Net, it's Fox Sports Net News Primetime. All the scores, all the highlights, all the breaking stories. Join Keith Olbermann for Fox Sports News Primetime every night at 10. Check local listings. Preparing to go back to green racing. The yellow still out. Lap 97. Let's go in car for replay.
On board with Raul Boisel. Cheever goes around him on the outside. Things unfold quickly.
Here comes another angle for you out of turn 1.
That was the end of the crash. We saw clearly what happened there on the opening shot.
Take a look on the blimp, because when we get to the blimp shot, we'll be able to show you much better what actually transpires, because it's ahead of these guys right there.
As you can see, there was quite a bit of difference between the speed of John Paul Jr. and Greg Ray.
Here comes the slow-mo, the replay of the accident. John Paul, the red and white Visionaire car, up high, and whoa! Ari, as a driver, you see that debris flying at you. That's got to be an interesting situation.
That's the driver. That's the part that the driver
fears. Here's the cars up here that you got to be concerned about. He's out of the groove, trying to woe it down, and Greg Ray in that yellow Linton car and already committed.
Oh, Greg Ray was carrying so much speed, he just cannot slow down. I've said this before, but he cannot just slam on the brakes and slow down. He's committed to the turn. All John Paul Jr. was doing was saving himself. If he would have carried more speed and not gotten out of the fall as much as he did, he would have hit the wall on his own.
So Scott Goodyear continues to be the race leader right now. We're under the 5th yellow, lap 99, and Vince Welch has an update on the race leader.
Yeah, Goodyear got in and out very quickly, just tires and fuel, but Kevin Blanche, the crew chief, wasn't pleased totally with his crew's performance. They thought they could have gotten Scott out a little quicker, but still, he's in position 1, and that's where you want to be at this stage of the race. And let's go to Calvin Fish, who's got some reports on Eddie Cheever's crew.
Well, it was like a pit stop competition. The two teams are side by side. Cheever's pit crew a little bit quicker, but as Eddie left the pit, he was concerned. He said his steering was a little off-center to what he'd experienced earlier in the race. The crew said, calm down, Eddie. It's just the tires are cold. The stagger will come in and everything will be fine.
All right, back up top. After the pit stops, Loku has climbed to the lead. All the way from 23rd, Billy Pogue is your race leader.
Remember, A.J. Voigt and the crew chief on this car, Greg Baranowski, said that what they were going to try and do is let the race come to them. As people began to pit, they felt they could gain position. That is what's earned Billy Boat his spot. Now, the car directly behind him, John Hollingsworth, on the other hand, in the PC Save Lycos.com car, has literally just been running solidly all afternoon. Didn't have a great day yesterday, but he went to his backup car today, and he started in that 16th position. He's the runner-up right now.
John Hollingsworth, the gentleman who has the team based out of Dallas, Texas. Interesting with him, every day he goes to Wendy's and picks up Frosties for the crew. Every day he does that, making sure these guys know that he cares about them. He wants to go fast. There he is in the 42 car right now, Hollingsworth. Let's watch one more replay for you from an accident that happened just moments ago here on Fox Sports Net. This is the leader looking back.
Guys, when you have a pass like that and you're in lap traffic, the peripheral vision of a driver, all of a sudden you see it in the corner of your eye. I'm just speculating, but in the case of John Paul Jr., all of a sudden he sees the pass being made to his left, tries to give enough room because he knows it's not a pass for position, and all of a sudden it carries him a little wider into the corner than he'd like to be. He loses grip, and it begins the domino effect that it eventually collected Greg Ray.
All right, let's go back to green flag racing. Here we go. Billy Pogue is your race leader right now after the pit stop. John Hollingsworth just picked up $10,000 for also race champ cars with the number 42. Champ cars for John Hollingsworth battling today.
Billy Boat and Hollingsworth have not stopped. They have not made their pit stops, so they are leading this race, but they're not the real leaders. Your guys to look for right here are Eddie Cheever, who beat Scott Goodyear out of the pits. Another great job by Cheever's team. Those guys are really quick in the pits.
John Hollingsworth.
Inside now with Buddy Lazier riding in 6th position. Lazier in 6th. Looking around the Goodyear car, the Pennzoil machine.
These are all the cars that have already made pit stops, and they have to just quietly and carefully make their way up through traffic. Buddy Lazier initiated and completed the pass on the outside of Scott Goodyear. Before the yellow flag was the leader of this event.
It's amazing how things turn around so quickly. Scott Goodyear was dominant. Right now, he just got passed by Buddy Lazier, and it's not over yet. Scott Sharp is right there challenging Scott Goodyear as well.
Scott Sharp is in that yellow, red, and black car.
Billy Boat continues to be the race leader, though. He is not pitted. 95 laps to go. Hollingsworth up there as well. There's your leader. When will he pit? First question right now. We'll watch them work.
One of the interesting things that Craig Baranowski, crew chief for Billy Boat, told me is that Billy Boat can get as much as 8 miles to the gallon in yellow flag conditions. That's an incredible MPG under caution. He said Kenny Breck, on the other hand, is a little better conserving fuel under green flag conditions. I tend to think that one of the reasons why Breck is so good, why actually Boat is so good, is his short track experience. He's used to cruising around under caution.
And Buddy Lazier right here now is making a move on Cheever. Buddy Lazier, if he made any changes at all, made good changes, because he's on a roll.
Here he goes, trying to find his way around Eddie Cheever, who has climbed to the front.
Hollingsworth really high there. That's tricky. That's tricky. See, he had to get way out of the fall to not hit that wall.
Hold your breath. Eddie Cheever now climbing up to 2nd position.
In reality, Eddie Cheever is our leader. Billy Boat still has to pit.
Let's go down to Calvin Fish.
Just spoke to Mark Whiten. He's the engineer on Hollingsworth's car. He said we pitted under that caution when the leaders did not stop. Providing we can get to about lap 130, we can do it on one more stop. So they're really in the same situation as the leaders. Very comfortable with the car right there. John says no problems. Remember, guys, this is the backup car. They had a problem with the primary car in their practice and switched to the backup car for qualifying.
And Hollingsworth slowing down a tad. Now in 5th position, the 42 car. 109 laps complete. That's Buddy Lazier in the purple car. And for 3rd, Pennzoil pounding away right now. Scott Goodyear trying to reclaim the top spot.
A lot of times Scott Goodyear fell back a little bit. A lot of times you'll see that the car is not that great on the opening lap on the restart. Then things start to come in, pressures come up. Now Scott looks like he's ready to go where he was before.
You can tell a lot if you watch from this in-car camera just how Scott Goodyear's Pennzoil Panther machine is handling. Watch his hands. As he goes through the corners, if he moves them a lot, well, then he's trying to chase the car. So far, it looks as if he likes the way the car's set up. He's maneuvering only by his throttle.
Sam Schmidt bringing the Sprint PCS 99 machine in.
Schmidt complained that the tire pressures were giving him some problems, and he thought that the right rear might be going down.
They have the telemetry will show you if the tire pressure does go down. It's kind of a tool, a safety tool for the crew. The crew, they look at the computer the whole time, and if the tire goes down, they'll warn the driver.
As we listen to Sam Schmidt go out, you can hear the car misfiring. That's not a problem. That's a button that's on the driver's steering wheel right there that allows him to maintain the speed limit set by the Pep Boys Indy Racing League.
This is quite...
Let's go back to the race leader, Billy Boat, still holding on. A.J. Foyt, the team owner on that machine. Of course, back in 1964, they had their first race here in Phoenix. Guess who won it? The Texan, A.J. Foyt. He'd like to win another one here today. I can tell you that.
A.J. Foyt and Eddie Cheever's crew chief, Owen Snyder, at about 6:30 this morning, were kibitzing down in Gasoline Alley. And they were saying, well, what do you think we need to do? And he says, I think we need to team up to go to the front. He says, do you think, he said, no, and do you think you can convince Eddie to do it? He says, I think I can convince Eddie to do anything today.
And it's working. There's the big guy, A.J. Foyt, calling the shots. Let's go down to Vince Welch.
I just spoke with Craig Baranowski, the chief mechanic for Billy Boat. He said they have only one more stop to make, and it's approximately lap 130. Then they can go the distance. And Billy Boat, he was very disappointed with his starting position as he was deep into the field. This is his home track. He wanted to run up towards the front. That's where he's at right now. And Baranowski says, look for that last stop. It's got to be a quick one.
Disappointment for Eliseo Salazar. After missing qualifying for the first race of this 1999 season, qualified well today, was posted in 22nd, but now with 117 laps completed, he pulls his Cristal car behind the wall.
Cristal, the largest selling beer in Chile. Battle up front is Billy Boat. There he is. He's got a lot of fans here today, being the local kid.
1.3 seconds separating first through fourth. We've got quite a race on our hands here. But Billy Boat really was, we were wondering what happened to Billy Boat. Where is he? But here he is leading this race, just moving up steadily, very quietly. But now he's maintaining that lead. His car is handling, his car is working good for him.
Greg Baranowski said that one of the things they were going to try and do with this car, they knew that they were down a little bit because of those special suspension parts that they were dealing with. They felt, however, that they had a good, solid race car. They used pit strategy to work their way up to the front of the field. Now the big question mark will be, how do they make that last and final pit stop and stay where they are right now?
Well, what they probably did is they went back to all the stuff that worked last year, just your basic Dallara setup. No trick stuff. They threw all this trick stuff off, went back to basics. Right now he's leading the race, but he's got three guys in his mirrors right now.
Here it is, Billy Boat, Eddie Cheever, Lazier, and Goodyear, your top four right now. And look who's hanging around as well. Scott Harrington hanging around in 8th position right now.
Give a call to Jeff Ward. Ward is having a fine afternoon after bringing back Alan Pagan and his operation, teaming up with him. Ward brought Mitch Davis over to Alan Pagan, and they're trying to make a good display today because they are actively seeking sponsorship.
And look at this man on the move. Buddy Lazier started 15th, thinking about challenging for second right now. Has been with Ron Himmelgarn since 1990.
And look at these guys. Eddie Cheever and Buddy Lazier came out to the wall so close on the previous lap. Now you know these guys are racing. You know, no more cruising, no more nothing. Serious racing right now. If you can take the lead now, take it.
122 laps completed. We're going 200 today here on Fox Sports Net. MCI WorldCom 200. Lazier continues to climb. Goodyear now 4th position. Hollinsworth, the rookie, in 5th with a solid ride today. Buddy Lazier started 15th, and look at the climb he's made. All the way up to 3rd.
One great thing always about Buddy Lazier is he may not qualify well, but what he likes to do is he likes to move up steadily through the field. Now you saw there that Buddy Lazier was reaching down on the inside of the cockpit. He was making a shift. Why was he doing that? Because he's coming up on race traffic, needs a little bit more power, so he downshifts.
Actually, what happened here, he went up a gear because he was hitting the rev limiter because he's running so close to Eddie Cheever. He had to go up a gear because you don't want to have the car hitting the rev limiter. It can damage your engine.
Man, this is some fun racing right now. I'm starting to chew my nails. We've got 125 laps. Look at that!
Buddy Lazier is just all over Eddie. And right now he's getting a good run off turn 2. Headed towards Dogleg.
Let's go to Calvin Fish.
Well, Buddy is having a great run. I just spoke to Ron Himmelgarn. He's very happy with the car. They said we have not adjusted the car for the whole race. Buddy is good to go on one more stop. He, like Hollinsworth, pitted when the leaders did not. So their pit sequence might be a little out with the leaders, but they can do it on one more stop, guys.
74 laps to go. Who are you cheering for today? Billy Boat, the local kid, is up front. Eddie Cheever, the defending Indy 500 champion. Buddy Lazier trying to tame the Phoenix Smile, hanging right in there. Goodyear is 4th.
You're Billy Boat, and you're pulling onto pit road, and that gives the lead over to one Eddie Cheever. It is time for A.J. Foyt's crew to go to work for Billy Boat.
Let's go down to Vince Welch. He's standing by to call this pit stop.
The red Dallara pulls into the box, hits his marks perfectly, and the crew is changing all 4 tires and adding fuel. Remember, this is the last stop for Billy Boat. He was on the pole 6 times last year. He won at Texas. Would like to get another victory here today. They're filling up. They're finally pulling the hoses away, and it's a smooth stop for a boat, but it's not the quickest stop. 15-1, 15-1.
And we've got a pass, attempted pass for the lead. Buddy Lazier looking at Eddie Cheever, but Cheever says, you know what? You're not getting around me just yet.
Look at 3 guys here battling for the lead on lap 129. Scott Goodyear is right there behind Buddy Lazier. Eddie now is coming up on traffic. He lost his momentum and
lap traffic. What are you going to do in the lap traffic? Hanging in there, and the leader sneaks through. Eddie Cheever hanging on the lead. Lazier looking for a way around.
It's a busy place out there. This is so much fun when you're out there dicing with all these cars. These guys are dicing each other and back markers.
Oh, wait a minute. Fun.
This is fun.
This is nerve-wracking. This is fun for you because you're not in the cockpit. You're out there enjoying it.
This is fun for me up here and fun for me when I'm down there.
Eddie Cheever, 70 laps away. 70 laps away from taking his second race of the season in the Pep Boys Indy Racing League. I hope you folks are having fun like us. 5 leaders so far today.
Hey, Dave, don't give it to Eddie Cheever by any means yet, because Buddy Lazier is continuing to run and be all over Eddie Cheever, kind of like a cheap suit. And I'm admiring the way that Lazier is maintaining a certain amount of discipline.
We're having a lot of fun. Stay with us. Eddie Cheever is the race leader right now. The MCI WorldCom 200. We'll be back. Arizona, the MCI WorldCom 200, and here are your leaders. Eddie Cheever started 18th. He's in first. Buddy Lazier second, charging from 15th. And look at this, Scott Harrington hanging around there. He started 8th. He's in 6th. Robbie Buell now up from 17th to 8th. Roberto Guerrero climbing up to 9th after a spin early in the race. Now, who's out of the race? Davey Hamilton, Robbie Unser, Steve Knapp, Kenny Brack, Tice Carlson, all out of the race. John Paul Jr. in an accident. Greg Ray out. Eliseo Salazar watching as Eddie Cheever is the race leader. There he is.
Boy, Howard, you called it at the top of the show. You said we should watch for this Children's Beverage Group car, and Eddie Cheever has done what we saw him do in Orlando. He's repeating it again today.
I think it's a strategy that he just wants to use because today's payday. Today's points day. Today's points day. This is what counts. And the race, you know, it's nice to go fast to qualify up there, but the race is what it's all about. At the end of the day, if you're leading, starting from 20th, it feels as good as leading from the pole.
So you say when you get older, you get smarter. Is that what you're telling us here, Mr. Lyondike?
Well, that applies to Eddie for sure. I mean, I can guarantee you that.
As good as the day has been for Eddie Cheever, it has not been a great day for Kenny Brack. Earlier today, Kenny Brack had more than his share of problems. Brack, the defending Pep Boys Indy Racing League champion, really had high expectations for this afternoon. Unfortunately, a close encounter right there got bumped. Then he came down into the corner here, got bumped again. Woo! And then he misses a shift on a restart, and it's a close encounter of the concrete kind here at Phoenix Raceway.
Defending champion Kenny Brack's had a tough start to the season. Kenny, we saw from the in-car camera that you missed the shift, but you say it was a problem with the Knapp car in front of you that created the situation.
Yeah, Knapp missed the shift, and I avoided him, and I missed my shift. Bosell ran into the back of me, so it was a freak situation.
Just an update on your teammate, Billy Butt. We saw him stop on lap 128. There's 72 laps to go. Are these guys banking on some caution flags to get into the finish?
Well, we're thinking to stay green. We can have a chance. I don't know yet, but it looks good right now.
Okay, well, better luck at the next one, Kenny. It's been a tough start for you.
Thanks a lot.
We continue to watch Billy Boat, and the leader right now, Eddie Cheever. There he is, moving to the inside of Roberto Guerrero. Eddie Cheever, your race leader, 145 laps completed. He tries to go around lap traffic. That's Robbie Buell's machine.
The sit-down connection car.
Robbie Buell is not a lap down yet. He will do everything he can to stay on the lead lap. I'm sorry, he is a lap down.
Jeff Ward has made a nice charge today. 145 laps complete. Ward now riding in fourth, known as a Charger. He trained on a bike in the desert, hottest part of the day. 120-degree temperatures, preparing to spend the afternoon under the hot Phoenix sun to go racing. traffic coming up. 147 laps completed. Buddy Lazier in second. Look at the traffic and look at the slicing and dicing going on here.
I asked the driver what it was like to run in heavy race traffic, and he said, if you want to do it, go on the LA freeway, put your cruise control on 75 miles an hour, and then try to slice and dice your way through side-by-side traffic.
Look out, we got problems. We got problems. Buddy Lazier's in the wall. Contact is made.
Cheever as well.
Eddie Cheever, the race leader, also in the wall.
So much traffic, it caught these guys out.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. There it is, Eddie Cheever and Buddy Lazier both in the wall, nowhere to go. They were bunched up, trying to find their way through turn 3, and Lazier climbing out of the car right now. Himmelgarn Racing, Eddie Cheever there. Blue and red car. Both drivers okay.
Things happen so fast here.
Boy, you could feel that coming, couldn't you? There's nothing you can do. So Eddie Cheever, you can see he's very upset with what happened here.
This is a tough time for a driver because the emotions are just running so high. First of all, you're dealing with adrenaline.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a tough time for me to watch this because this was such a good race going on. Eddie was doing such a good job, as was Buddy Lazier. We'll have to have a look and see exactly what happened. It was just a shame.
But suddenly we have 6 cars on the lead lap with 50 to go.
And guess
Mr.
who's
Goodyear is
the
there.
lead? Scott Goodyear in the Pennzoil Panther.
He says, hey, fellas, I'm back. Jeff Ward is second. The Oldsmobile pace car up ahead.
Scott Goodyear must have missed that narrowly because he was really close to these guys.
So he has to be smiling. Lady Luck shining right now on Scott Goodyear, the Pennzoil machine, the Panther machine, co-owned by Jim Harbaugh, quarterback, who now headed to the San Diego Chargers.
And that's created a problem because now all the pit guys that wear the helmets have to get rid of the Baltimore Ravens logos and put on those lightning bolts for the San Diego Chargers. Vince?
I'm with Dick Caron from Eddie Cheever's team. And Dick, I know that your fuel window is open. You were considering bringing Eddie in sometime soon. And then he gets caught up in the traffic in the accident. Were you giving consideration to bringing him in before the accident?
No, we had another 15 laps to go. We were going to start our countdown in about 10 laps, so everything was going according to plan.
And did Eddie relay on the radio what happened?
No, he just said, damn it, got out of the car. So
That's Dick Caron, team manager for Eddie Cheever.
And we should mention with the accident, the pits are closed. I want to mention that Scott Harrington has climbed up the 4th Invincible Sportswear, and in the pits, more activity.
Scott Sharp has come onto pit road in the Delphi Automotive car.
We do limited things, so you sit under yellow.
You can hear the conversations between the driver and the crew.
Won't open the pits because we won't pack up because we can't. Just opened it right now because the yellow light's off. Let's go. Fuck this guy.
The sounds of racing live on Fox Sports Net. And the cleanup continues at the race course as the race leader involved in an accident. Eddie Cheever comes up with an accident. Let's go to the replay here and watch what happens. Eddie Cheever and Buddy Lazier. Traffic.
Let's watch.
Scott Harrington directly in front of them. You know the analogy that I used about coming up in heavy traffic with your foot on the accelerator, actually the cruise control? That's all that this is all about. Trying to weave your way through traffic. Scott Harrington directly in front of Eddie Cheever in the yellow and white car. Cheever trying to look for a way around. And right behind him, Lazier. A bump, a tap, both of them into the concrete.
Clearly a mistake by Buddy Lazier. Patience is the key. We spoke about that earlier. But Buddy just wanted to get to the front so bad. Eddie got bogged down a little bit because in front of Scott Harrington, another car was passing. The car on his inside slowed down both Harrington and Cheever.
Now watch all of it up here because that's where it's going to unfold. That was that traffic you were talking about, Ari, directly in front of them, and it had an accordion effect.
And as a driver, you need to look ahead of yourself. Like on the highway, look ahead of yourself.
Oh, heartbreak for those two gentlemen who were running so strong.
A good way to get an angle is from the Goodyear blimp. It bunches up. There's a couple of taps. The next thing you know, you're in the wall.
As we saw here, Scott Sharp was slowing into 2-3.
Slow-mo, let's show you that. Let's look
this
right
car
here.
Right here is very
Scott
slow.
Scott Sharp was slowing, and that had the accordion effect where everybody had to back off the throttle, and they began to do a little tap dance with each other, nose to tail, in a collective group, top drivers.
And that's how Scott Sharp ended up in the pits with a closed pit.
Getting to the final stages of the race, the MCI WorldCom 200. More after this. Stay with us. The MCI WorldCom 200 here on Fox Sports Net, Pep Boys Indy Racing League. Scott Goodyear is your race leader. Jeff Ward is second. Robbie Buell third. Scott Harrington is fourth. And Roberto Moreno is fifth.
And 2 Infinity engines in the top 5. That's a great showing for them.
Billy Boat now in 6th position. Started 23rd. Dismore 7th. Roberto Guerrero is 8th. John Hollinsworth now in 9th. And there's the rest of the field. The MCI WorldCom 200. As we take a peek from the blimp on a gorgeous day. Gorgeous day. One of the world's most enduring symbols. The Goodyear Blimp Eagle, based in Carson, California, providing these aerial pictures. 1999 marks the 74th consecutive year a Goodyear blimp has flown over a major sporting event. We're under yellow. Cleanup continues with 156 laps in the bag, and there's the race leader. The Indy Racing League races into Charlotte, North Carolina for the Visionaire 500 from Lowe's Motor Speedway. Speed Vision will bring you live coverage Saturday, May 1st. Fox Sports Net gives you a second look at the Visionaire 500 Thursday, May 6th. So please check your local listings as you follow the exciting action of the Pep Boys Indy Racing League.
You know, the Goodyear, well, the work continues on the crash here. Got to be impressed with the run, not only of Scott Goodyear, but how about Jeff Ward, Robbie Buell, Scott Harrington, Roberto Moreno. This car right here is your second place runner. Alan Pagan, we told you about him. He ran for many years with Roberto Guerrero, was very supportive of the Pep Boys Indy Racing League, did not run a car in Orlando. Jeff Ward and Mitch Davis came to Alan Pagan, who is an ex-motorcycle guy. Ward, we all know, 7-time motocross champion, said, hey, let's get together, let's go out to Phoenix, let's see if we can put on a good display and maybe we can attract a sponsor. More for that, let's talk to Calvin.
I just spoke to Mitch Davis, and he said in the first segment of the race the car was a little nervous on Wardy, so they upped the right front tire pressure to induce a push. It went a little bit too far, so on this stop they kept the tire pressure the same, but added 2 turns of front wing for a little more downforce on the front end. He said Wardy can really go to the front now. He can adjust the car with the weight jacker, and as you know, Ari, the chemistry between this driver and crew chief is just amazing.
Well, let's remember that after this pit stop, there aren't going to be any more pit stops. This is the last pit stop for the leaders, and it's going to be a shootout to the finish between Scott Goodyear, Jeff Ward, and Robbie Buell.
How about a pit stop for Scott Goodyear in the Pennzoil Panther car? Earlier, the Panther team went to work, and they show the effects of the physical training they've been going through. Their stops have increased and gotten very, very good.
These guys are the Warriors going to work.
But let's not forget, Eddie Cheever's team beat them out of the pits. And how fast those guys are.
Let's go down to bench. Kevin Blanche, crew chief for Scott Goodyear. Kevin, you told me before the race we're tired of finishing second. We want to win this one. Now you're in position to do it. How do you stay out front?
Well, like you said, we come with a motto at every race, and the motto of this race is win or bring her in the trash bin. So hopefully Scotty's been taking it real easy in the Pennzoil car, so now we're out in front, about 40 laps to go. We'll see what happens.
You've been real consistent throughout the weekend. Has that been your key today?
Yeah, that's pretty much what we try to do, is do a race setup all weekend long and then just qualify where we qualify, and so far it seems to be working out for us.
Kevin Blanche, crew chief for Scott Goodyear and the Pennzoil Panther Racing Team.
One thing here, Scott Goodyear is on sticker tires. On sticker tires, you cannot afford to just charge into turn 1. Let's have a look if we can see Jeff Ward's car, if he has sticker tires. If he has them, then for Scott, that's kind of a good sign.
Looks like a sticker on there.
Looks like Jeff Ward has sticker tires as well. Looks like the guys all ran out of time to scrub in all their tires.
When you have a new tire, you put it on, it still has the sticker. And actually on the sticker, it tells you what size it is. It's for racing only. A lot of teams like to scrape the stickers off, but it means that it's a brand new tire. In that case, what you've got to do is you've got to slowly work it up to temperature. Got to be a little careful, especially when you begin to accelerate.
Well, exactly. These cars are not light on fuel right now, and you just can't go charging into turn 1. So it's going to take guys with sticker tires longer to get up to speed than guys on just new tires that have been scrubbed before.
All right, we have 15 drivers still on the track. 15 cars still battling. And this is Scott Sharp on
Sticker
board.
tires on
Sticker
Scott
tires.
Sharp's Delphi car. And it remains questionable whether Mark Dismore in the MCI WorldCom car did, because the stickers are probably all worn off. Now, I know Sam Schmidt has to have the stickers scraped off, because that's one thing you always required, Ari, on the Sprint PCS car.
That's right, but yeah, he might have sticker tires on there, but we can't see the stickers.
You know, we're talking about how well the Infiniti engines have been performing. The public relations director for Nissan Infiniti, Marty Fiocca, is making his farewell appearance as part of the Infiniti team here at the Phoenix International Raceway. Marty will move on to a new venture, but he says he will visit with us at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Marty, I got to tell you right now, 3rd and 4th belong to Infiniti. Guess it'll be a lot easier for the guy that replaces you.
And 8th. Guerrero's running in 8th. We've got 3 Infinitis in the top 10. This is by far their best performance.
Calvin.
Quick update on Scott Harrington. Everything is cool here. I spoke to Darrell Soft, the engineer. He said the car is perfect, no changes, and they're going back to green, guys.
We are prepared to go back to green. The Oldsmobile pace car is back to the pit area. The green is out. 40 laps to go at Phoenix. Who's going to win the MCI WorldCom 200?
Watch the angle of the yellow car there, Scott Goodyear. Scott Goodyear had a good run up, and he's starting to look for the inside lane. Now all of a sudden everybody else has caught up to him, but he did take a stab on that start.
Back into lap traffic, the leader, Pennzoil. We got a crash, another crash in turn 4. It's Roberto Guerrero. Guerrero in car 50, who spun early in the race, is in the wall.
That's our 3rd Infiniti now out of the race.
Out of the Price Cobb stable, Roberto Guerrero out of San Juan Capistrano, California. And what a disappointment for this former winner here at Phoenix International Raceway. Was in the 8th position.
Which is very remarkable. Well. He spun out early in the race, had to come back in because the tires were flattened.
Well, there's been quite a few incidents today, quite a few cars going out of the race, so it allowed Guerrero to move up into the top 10, but now he's out of it.
162 laps completed now. Scott Goodyear is the leader as we go under yellow. The MCI WorldCom 200. It's going to be a shootout to the finish in the wild, wild west, and we know you're going to stay with us. We'll be right back. Coverage of the MCI WorldCom 200. Right now, we've got 6 drivers on the lead lap. 164 laps completed. Scott Goodyear is the race leader. Jeff Ford is 2nd. Robbie Buell has climbed to 3rd. And Mr. Harrington is 4th. So we have some exciting racing here. It's time to hang it out and put your cards on the table. Hey, tonight, you got to check this out. Fox Sports Net presents Magic versus Bird, the game that changed the game. Join Chris Myers with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird tonight at 9 o'clock here on Fox Sports Net. A special presentation as we take a look back in time. This is the 7th yellow at Phoenix right now.
Saw Magic Bird rooting on his Michigan State Spartans last night, but to no avail.
Just didn't have enough.
All right, let's go back and take a look at the situation for Roberto Guerrero. There he is, working traffic.
He ran quite high. Roberto likes to run high to start with. Here he tried to go around, I believe, Scott Harrington. Got up a little high. It might be dirty up there because of the incidents we've had and the oil dry that has been laid down there. But it looked like a little contact.
Scott Harrington in the middle of that.
You know, when Scott Harrington came here, he had high expectations. This situation for Scott Harrington is just a terrific one. It's his own race car. He's one of only 3 guys that compete in the Pep Boys Indy Racing League that own their own cars. How many guys can say that the last time they ran at a racetrack they were the winner? That's the case for Scott Harrington. Back in 1996 was the last time he was here at the 1 Mile Oval, and he won the Can-Am Series event. So he's been strutting around all weekend saying, hey, I'm a former winner at this race.
And he is such a likable guy. When I first got here a couple of days ago, Jack walked through the garage area, and there he was in the trailer making sandwiches for the crews. They were working on the car. That's kind of his commitment to his team.
Every day I come out here, I meet him over at the local convenience store, and he's got a fistful of coffees. He said, you know, a happy crew will make for a happy driver. And I said, but you're the owner. He said, yeah, but I'm also the driver, and I want to make them happy, happy, happy.
There's Andy Michener, who's been out there pounding away today, trying to work his way into the top 10. We've had 5 leaders today, 5 lead changes. Michener running 15th right now.
This is the time of the race. That's Roberto Moreno in the pits. Last pit stop for him probably.
And you notice Moreno's just simply taking on fuel. This is a smart move by this team. They are being shown in a situation where they can take advantage of this caution. They're not going to lose a lot of positions because of where they're running right now in that 5th position. They'll still generally now be assured that they have enough fuel to go the distance with the Speedy Gonzalez car.
They will have enough fuel to go the distance, but the leaders have enough fuel as well. This is a shootout to the finish. Scott Goodyear is getting ready for a restart.
Yeah, it's time to hang it out and show your cards here in Phoenix. MCI WorldCom 200. The green is out.
Whoa, did you see that? One car is slowed dramatically. Everybody has to go back around him. And it is John Hollingsworth in the Lycos car. Could not come up to speed. What a great job everybody did getting by him.
That was just fantastic to see that nobody rear-ended him, because that was a very dangerous situation right there.
Meantime, out in front, there he is. Scott Goodyear stretching his lead now. Robbie Buell in second, about 1.5 seconds back now.
Ward was fast on that restart because of the situation with Hollingsworth. Scott Goodyear got a great jump on the field because of it as well. Right now, Scott Goodyear is a 1.5 seconds in front, which doesn't seem like a lot to the viewers out there, but it is a lot when you look in your mirrors. That guy's way back there, because in 1 second you cover the distance of a football field. This is 1.5 football fields behind you is the next guy.
Boy, but you've got to give a call to this man in the yellow and blue, number 44, Robbie Buell. Started in that, was running 16th and 30 in the 33rd lap. And look at the way methodically he has moved the sit-down connection Jeff Sinden racing team car up. Now watch this restart. The car that is slow is right there, and everybody just has to split around him, and it costs a position for Jeff Ward.
Robbie Buell got the run on him.
29 laps to go for this man, Scott Goodyear. Can he hang on and win it? Robbie Buell in pursuit, about 1.7 seconds back. They cross the start-finish line.
You know, it may be to some people's thinking right now that Scott Goodyear is in a great position. You talk about that 1 second lead, but one thing that we've learned at Phoenix International Raceway, 1 second does not mean a lot, because of the fact that you still have to deal with race traffic like we saw in that restart. Everything that Scott Goodyear has earned right now can go away as soon as they begin to hit lap traffic. Second and third are coming into play in a battle. Robbie Buell in the blue and yellow car, and Jeff Ward is starting to close right there.
Jeff Ward was really the loser on the restart, not by his own doing. He really lost out because he was in 2nd place, ready to challenge Scott Goodyear. Now he has to get around Robbie Buell first.
So what happened with John Hollingsworth? Calvin Fish, you have the answer.
Well, I just speaking now to Mark Weiler, who's in charge of this impressive young rookie, Hollingsworth. Mark, what happened on the restart there with John?
He just went back to power, and the gearbox just exploded. There was no drive at all. And the guys behind him did a great job to get around it, because it was definitely a surprise for everybody. Car was running great. We got caught out with a green flag stop, but otherwise, I mean, we had a great weekend. John did a great job.
An impressive performance by this team and the young rookie, and they're looking forward to Charlotte.
The feeling Scott Goodyear has right now is of dominance. He is dominating this event at this point. It gives you so much confidence. You just say to yourself, you know what? Nobody's going to take this away from me right now. I think he's in that frame of mind.
24 miles to go for Scott Goodyear, trying to win at Phoenix. Harrington battling his way. Harrington now in 4th. Both the red car, Conseco riding in 5th right now.
Scott Harrington with the Infinity Power was the highest qualified Infinity ever, and he is being shown very solidly here in the top 5 position.
Both thinking about making a move. We'll follow that story. And can Scott Goodyear hold off Robbie Buell for the victory in Phoenix? We're going to find out here on Fox Sports Net, the MCI WorldCom 200. Goodyear 17 laps away from winning his first ever Pep Boys Indy Racing League event. It's the MCI WorldCom 200. Jeff Ward has moved into 2nd. Robbie Buell is 3rd.
Buell on the inside trying to get around the Andy Michener car, and that sets up the advantage for a move on the inside by Jeff Ward.
He didn't give it up easy, Robbie Buell, but he had to. And right now, Ward, that gives Ward the opportunity to close in on Scott Goodyear, but he has not closed in yet.
And here's a pass for fourth. Going to the inside is Billy Boat in the red car. Gets by Scott Harrington. Harrington fading back to fifth in that Infinity car.
Now let's go back live up front and look at the lead. Look at the lead. Goodyear now 6-second lead on Jeff Ward.
But look at that race traffic. That is going to shrink that lead because you have to pick and choose your way around it.
Scott Goodyear did a tremendous job here of going underneath traffic into turn 1. And if you think about 6 seconds, that's almost 1/3 of a lap. He knows, boy, 6 seconds is a big lead with just 14 laps to go.
But already he's having a little bit of difficulty negotiating his way around here. Will we have the 14th different winner in Pep Boys Indy Racing League competition? Scott Goodyear hopes so, but he has got to get by this traffic.
Like I said before, you know, 4 seconds, 4.5 seconds in the lead right now. That's a bunch around a track like this.
That's his wife, Leslie, carefully watching what's going on the track. The nerves coming into play here. 13 laps to go for Scott Goodyear. Make it 12.
Scott and his wife, Leslie, have made several trips to the Netherlands, where I was born. She is into horse riding, and she buys horses in Holland.
She's an accomplished equestrian. In fact, Scott says that he tries to convince her that auto racing is a lot cheaper because he said when you blow the engine, you don't have to keep feeding it.
Well, it is cheaper for him because he doesn't have to pay for his racing. He has to pay for those horses.
11 laps to go, and Ari, I would imagine the mind starts doing tricks on you now when you're at this point in the race.
He's just putting everything together the way he wants to put it together.
And every spot is in play. How about Roberto Moreno right there trying to close in on the 5th place car, and that would be Scott Harrington. Harrington trying to hold him off, and directly in front of them is Scott Sharp. While Sharp is not in that battle, being shown in the 10th spot, he will predict what will happen. Harrington looks in his mirror and sees that his position is in play.
All right, 10 laps to go now for Scott Goodyear as we look out the Scott Sharp car, the Delphi car. Scott Harrington, what a charge he's had today. Invincible Racing. Roberto Moreno trying to look around. That's the green, white, and red car. Moreno riding in 6th. Harrington wants to finish in the top 5 today.
Moreno is so hungry to put down a good result here, and this is a good result if he finishes 4th, 5th, or 6th. This is a good result for him and that team.
Now the problem is that your leader is right in the midst of that, so Moreno had to back out of it a little bit with the Speedy Gonzalez car, knowing that it was Scott Goodyear.
Very professional move. He's not going to jeopardize Scott Goodyear's race.
Whoa! And Moreno sideways.
He's in the grass trying to keep it off the wall. Moreno doing some fine driving.
Hold on, it's not your first rodeo. You can get it back under control, and he does. Keeps it off the wall.
Great job.
The yellow comes out with 8 laps to go. And Scott Goodyear starting to think, hey, maybe I won't get that victory today. Jeff Ward is 2nd. Robbie Buell 3rd right now.
And Scott Goodyear, you know, right now he doesn't care how he wins this race. If it's on the yellow or under the green, he just wants to win this race. I won my first race in Phoenix in 1991 under the yellow, which was kind of like disappointing. It's like, you know, you cross the line doing 30 miles an hour.
Let's go back and take a look at Roberto Moreno's wild ride. Hee-haw, here we go, because it really got your attention. Moreno just flew by himself, and all the drivers will tell you that as you start to come out, you can lose it very quickly.
Moreno reacted to what was going on in front of him. The white car of Scott Harrington is up against the wall right there. And Moreno thought he was going to hit the wall, but he didn't.
These guys are hanging it out with 7 laps to go. This is the 8th yellow so far today. 5 leaders today. 5 lead changes. Scott Goodyear back on board. Let's go down to Calvin Fish.
Just spoke to Joe Truselli. He says, Roberto, all he needs now is a change of underpants. The car is okay. They don't need to change the tires. They're hoping to keep him out of there. I just spoke to Mitch Davis, and he said that Wardy has a great handling car. They feel they're a little short on horsepower here today.
6 laps to go as the yellow's out here at Phoenix.
Getting back to what Calvin Fisher said, Moreno's official nickname 2 years ago was Poo Poo.
Was what?
Poo Poo. Yeah.
Roberto Poo Poo Moreno at 6th place right now after the spin.
You know, I was telling you about Scott Goodyear and his co-owner, Jim Harbaugh, being traded. They got a real problem. The Baltimore Ravens was where he played for, and now all of a sudden they've got to get the lightning bolts. But one thing that stays the same all the time right there, the Pennzoil Panther logo. They have to change those decals.
A group of guys from Indianapolis with a dream, a vision. They want to go racing and win, and oh, they're oh so close now. 5 miles away. Scott Goodyear, 5 miles away from victory. The MCI WorldCom 200. We're going to have a shootout. It's going to be a wild, wild west shootout to the finish.
This is the yellow that Scott Goodyear did not want to have. It allowed Jeff Ward to close right in and challenge him for the lead on the restart.
You know, yesterday Ron Hornaday took advantage of a late race caution to win the Craftsman Super Truck race for NASCAR. This afternoon, the big problem for Scott Goodyear is going to be to get on the throttle quick like he does. Dave, we're going green.
Time to go racing. The green flag comes out, and here we go, folks. It's going to be a shootout down to the finish.
He's going to be all right. Jeff Ward was fifth in that lineup. Still has to pass 3 cars in front of him. Scott Goodyear's got a clear track in front of him. Right now, he's just taking care of business.
Look at this bunch coming out of turn number 2.
And Jeff Ward is in the middle of it. There he is, second car in that line.
Goodyear now, 196 laps complete. Trying to find his way through traffic. He has plenty of clean air ahead.
And behind. He's 4 seconds ahead of Jeff Ward.
A 4-second lead now.
20 career starts for Scott Goodyear. This is his 3rd year in the Indy Racing League. Finished second in 1999 at Walt Disney World. And now he is looking for his first career victory.
If Scott wins here today, and it looks like he's going to win, he's also going to take over the lead in the Pet Boys Indy League Racing Championship.
2 laps to go. 2 miles for the Pennzoil machine. Tension in the air. Scott Goodyear.
Everybody said Scott Goodyear would win a race. The big question was when. I got a feeling, guys, today is going to be the day.
1 lap to go. Can he nurse it around 1 mile quickly through turn 1? Safely through turn 2. Now to the backstretch, heading into 3.
He could feel it.
And here he comes. The checkered flag comes out. Scott Goodyear wins.
God, stop at start-finish line on the track. Stop at start-finish line on the track.
And the crew worried that he gets to start-finish line for the celebration. Scott Goodyear wins the MCI WorldCom 200. Jeff Ward comes in second. Robbie Buell with a 3rd place finish. And Billy Boat comes in 4th. What a great race as the crews come out to celebrate with the champion. Scott Goodyear wins it here on Fox Sports Net. We're going to victory lane right after this. From above here on Fox Sports Net, the winner of the MCI WorldCom 200 is Scott Goodyear. He's there with Vince Welsh.
Scott Goodyear is celebrating his first Indy Racing League victory in the Pet Boys Series, and of course here at Phoenix International Raceway, the MCI WorldCom 200. Scott Goodyear receiving congratulations here in the Pet Boys winner's circle. Scott, you finished second 4 times in this series, and I know there was a lot of pressure on this team and this driver to win the race. How much of a comfort is it now to cross that finish line with the checkered flags?
Well, I'll tell you something. I was pretty comfortable until we got that last yellow, and I knew Wardy was back there, and he's a hard charger. So we had to make sure we can get just good restarts and get going. And the guys in the team did a great job today and called the right shots. We made us last change. We changed some wings and changed some tire pressures. Andy Brown did a great job because we were pushing when we were losing ground to Cheever and Lazier. So I knew we'd have a strong car at the end.
Can you talk about the pressure off your shoulders for winning a race?
Well, I'll tell you something. It's nice. You know, I haven't won in the IRL here, so for me, it's just nice. It's nice for the team. It's nice for John Barnes, all the guys that have put this program together. Gary Pettigo's here this weekend. Everybody at Pennzoil, you know, it's a great win for them. And Northern Telecom came along with me over to this team, and it's first win for them too. So it's great. I'll tell you that. It feels good.
Scott Goodyear, the winner of the MCI WorldCom 200. Let's go to Calvin Fish.
Wardy, another podium finish. Great result for you and this team. You just come together just a few days before this event.
Yeah, it was a lot to learn out there with this new car, the Dallara, and Megan did a good job. All the guys that came over from ISM, we just needed to learn the car a little bit more, and I think I could have had a little bit, but there was some guys running real fast out there, and I wanted to get through this first race, and now we did, and we can move on for Charlotte, and I think we'll run real well there.
Tell us about the chemistry that you've struck up with Mitch Davis as you turn to the IRL and hooking up with Mitch. You guys seem unstoppable.
Well, we're running really good. I mean, when I ran with Team Cheever over there, Mitch was there, and then they all came over to ISM, and we just, worked together really well. He does a great job on the car, and
that's why we're running so well here. There's nothing really changed except the car for me to learn, and that'll come in time. And we're in the hunt for the championship, so it was nice to get here.
Great result today.
Thank you.
All right, the celebration continues along the main straightaway. Scott Goodyear's a winner. Jeff Ward comes in second. Robbie Buell third. We'll be back to wrap it all up. The MCI WorldCom 200. Welcome back to Phoenix, Arizona. The sun is shining brightly on Scott Goodyear today. It's been a good day for Goodyear. Speaking of Goodyear, the Goodyear Blimp Eagle, based in Carson, California, has been providing these aerial pictures today. We thank them. 1999 marks the 74th consecutive year that a Goodyear blimp has flown over a major sporting event. And they had a gorgeous day today and a great day of racing here on Fox Sports Net. Robbie Buell started 17th and finished third. Calvin Fish is there with Mr. Buell.
2 Infinities in the top 5 and the highest place finish ever for one of these power plants. Robbie bringing it home third. It was a battle out there. You seemed to chase the car a little bit all day.
Yeah, we did. We never really got the ultimate car for us, but we fought it all day long. We stayed out of trouble. We were patient and paid off, and I'm really happy for Dennis Reinbold and SRS. All the guys have worked hard, and obviously for Infinity, I think they've made tons of gains just from Orlando to now, but to have a podium finish here to carrying us towards the speedway, I think it's just going to give us more momentum, I hope.
Congratulations. I understand you're getting married next Saturday. Is everyone invited who's watching here today?
He's invited here. Yeah, absolutely. No, I really haven't been worrying about that. I'll figure out about that one next weekend.
Okay, Robbie. Best of luck, mate.
Thanks, Calvin.
One of the colorful people involved with the Indy Racing League. It's a gorgeous day in the Valley of the Sun here on Fox Sports Net. We've had a great time. Hope you'll stay with us. We're going to wrap this thing up with the two-time Indy 500 champion Arie Luyendyk and Jack Arute when we come back. Scott Goodyear wins the MCI WorldCom 200. Today's Pep Boys Indy Racing League event, the MCI WorldCom 200 on Fox Sports Net, has been sponsored in part by MCI WorldCom, the official long-distance and local service provider of the Pep Boys Indy Racing League today.
Well, and you can see some of the abuse that this G-force has taken over the course of 200 miles. Roberto Moreno drove it hard today. In fact, got sideways once himself, but brought it home in one piece. And Roberto, for a guy that with very little oval experience, you look like a veteran out there today. A couple of close calls for you, though, as you came home sixth.
Indeed, but we're very, very pleased at Warner Brothers Studio, who sponsored us this year, and with the Truselli Team Racing. It was a tough race, half distance in the race. We were very, very competitive. Then we start getting a push into the car. And then towards the end, I had to fight a really bad vibration when I lean in the car. So at one stage, I hooked, and I half spun, and I just got it back through the grass. I jumped the curb, and back I went on the track. So from there on was just bringing it home safe. And we did a good result for our first effort in this season IRL Championship.
Well, it's sponsored by Warner Brothers. Speedy Gonzalez is here at the race today, and Roberto Moreno was indeed Speedy Gonzalez today. He comes home sixth at the MCI WorldCom 200.
And there is Speedy Gonzalez. Roberto Moreno having some fun in the sun here in Arizona. Dave Calabro along with Jack Arute and Arie Luyendyk. And Arie, I think today the fans, Jack, saw a good race, didn't they, Arie?
It was a great race, exactly as we said at the beginning of the show. Opportunity, oval racing, open wheel racing, very exciting. Just a lot of stuff going on. Like we said, things happen fast here.
The great thing about the Pep Boys Indy Racing League is the fact that those big O's do cash in at the end. But don't forget, there's a $1 million purse here today. And for Scott Goodyear, it's a pretty nice payday. After so many tries and so many seconds, that team finally made it to victory lane.
Yeah, you can see the relief, and I know you're happy to see this guy finally win, too.
So many great stories. Jeff Ward, again, a good finish, but with a new team opportunity. Robbie Buell with an Infinity engine. Billy Boat coming back from way back on the grid. Scott Harrington with an Infinity motor.
Got to give a call to Roberto Moreno. Mark Dismore, I'd say somewhat of a disappointment. Started in the outside pole. Likewise for Scott Sharp, Sam Schmidt, Stefan Gregoire. Another top 10 finish. That is 4 top 10s in a row for that young man. Donnie Beechler, Marco Greco in his very own car. And how about a call for John Hollinsworth? 15th position. That rookie has really got things together.
He has been tough. Raul Boisel in 19th after struggling early on. Had some problems. Eliseo Salazar with a 20th place finish here at the MCI WorldCom 200.
Big disappointing day for guys like Greg Ray, Tice Carlson, Kenny Brack, Steve Knapp. They all had their moments, as did Robbie Unser and Davey Hamilton. But that's part of racing. I don't care if it's on a half mile, a 2 mile, or the 1 mile here at Phoenix.
Live look at the podium as the celebration continues with the Pep Boys Indy Racing League Series. There's the podium, and Mr. Goodyear, you think he's going to treasure that IRL trophy or what?
He's going to treasure it, and he's going to be counting points tonight because he is leading the points right now for the Pep Boys Indy Racing League Championship, and that's a big feather in his cap going into the next race in Charlotte.
Now, this is just the first of 8 races you're going to see right here on Fox Sports Net. The Visionaire 500 from Charlotte, North Carolina is up next. Speed Vision has the coverage for you Saturday, May 1st, live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and Fox Sports Net Thursday, May 6th. You'll see the replay, and that'll be a wild race, won't it?
That'll be a wild race to watch at night. Racing at night is very exciting, also very exciting to watch.
Don't forget, more banking, 1.5 miles, and I'll tell you what, every time they run at Charlotte, it gets the NASCAR boys' attention.
So what a day we had in Phoenix. Beautiful weather today, temperatures in the 80s, and there's the man who wins it today. Scott Goodyear finally celebrates in the Pennzoil machine. Heartbreak turned into celebration here today under the sunshine.